All right, Life of Chance podcasters, I'm stoked to say that today we have Allan Alaalatoa joining us on the podcast. Allan, thank you so much for joining. How's your morning been?
It's been good, thank you. The kids are up at 5:30, so it's an early start, but that's kind of normal for our household. And then just keen to get stuck into a good week. It was a tough performance from the boys over the weekend. Tough loss, I should say. So the boys will be hurting this week, have a little bit more edge. So, but yeah, off to a good start this morning.
That's good. That's what we like to hear. Just a quick update on injury. How are you tracking?
So I'm doing really well. I'm first week of full training last week, and that was just an awesome vibe just to be back out there with the boys and getting stuck into units, like scrumming and mauling, contact. The lungs isn't quite there yet. I think I probably need a few weeks back full training and playing games, but in terms of I'm right at the end. Been about 10 months now, so it's awesome feeling just to be back out there with the boots and getting amongst it with the boys. So hopefully be back out there very soon.
Special, so good. It's like a nice feeling when you come to the end of that rehab journey and you can almost taste it, but it almost gets harder again once you're back competing for
Yeah.
spots and playing each week. You forget the grind of actually playing.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I got hit with reality last week.
But it's a good reality, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. Like it's so challenging. I think more mentally, especially the beginning phases of the rehab, like just being bedridden and not being able to move, and that was definitely challenging. And then once you're able to get moving, get in the gym, it's just the little wins that you count throughout that journey and every day, which pretty much got me throughout the whole long-term injury. So yeah, definitely a good feeling, like tough on the lungs, but in terms of being back out there is awesome.
Yeah, great. All right. So what's your nickname? Do you have a nickname?
Probably just Al.
Al? Simple. Is
Yeah,
that just
yeah.
is that a PC version or is that what the boys call you at training?
Oh yeah, like it's Al and then Big Al, but yeah,
Big Al.
I've always
Okay.
been a big lad, growing up. So
Nice. Did you play any other sports growing up or was it always rugby?
played a bit of basketball in school. That was purely because we had to do a summer sport. I tried to do cricket, but then my first 15 coach at the time said that I needed to
Keep the cardio
play a
up.
sport. Yeah, play a sport with a bit more movement because I needed to lose weight. So he put me into basketball. So I was just playing basketball and so yeah, but like that was like throughout school, and then just with the church stuff, you play a bit of cricket and volleyball here and there as a hobby. So
Where was this the basketball at Ashfield Boys or was it at Newington? Or both?
yeah, both,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was more towards Newington where I had to start taking basketball seriously because I needed to use summer sport as a cardio top up for the winter sport. But I was happy just to stand outside outside the rim and just shoot threes. But yeah, he needed me to do a bit more.
I love that. That's cheeky from you, coach, but good work.
Yeah.
Um, when did you debut for the Brumbies? Do you remember?
Debuted in the quarterfinal against the Chiefs in 2014. So yeah,
Ugh.
that was massive. Like I was a rookie that year. And kind of everyone just dropped. Like we had all the injuries to all the props, and then Lordy was like, "Mate, you're gonna get your debut," and I was like, "Oh, what in a quarterfinal?" I guess I remember that week. I was probably shitting myself like throughout the whole week. Um, but yeah, I got given. I think it was like a minute. Like I went on with a minute to go, and I missed one tackle. So Lordy always reminds me of that stat. He's like, if I'm going to put you on for 1 minute, mate, you just got to make sure that you don't miss any tackles or drop a ball. So, um,
Oh,
but
you
yeah,
got
that was
another
special.
chance.
That was special.
How
Yeah, is it?
sorry.
No, we got another chance the week after. We played a semi final, which we lost against the Tars over in Sydney. But again, I got a little bit more. I got like I think it was like 90 seconds, so I got like 30 seconds more than my debut. but I was itching for anything, so I was just keen young lad who just wanted to get on the field.
And that was in your first season as a contracted Brumby, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How cool. And you've been at the Brumbies ever since.
Yeah. So this is my 11th season now.
Loyal.
Yeah. So yeah. So yeah, feeling every bit of it. But yeah, I think like that's yeah, I mean you say loyal, but that's like one of the like my main um like characteristics, like I'm a loyal person, and I knew when like the Brumbies took a chance on me back in 2013, end of 2013, to come down and give me that opportunity. I wanted to kind of thank them for that by giving my best version of myself every day, and yeah, and in doing that, it's seen me be here for 11 seasons now, and it's always something that I'll never forget. Is those people that give me the opportunity, and to thank them every day that I'm still here. So um, yeah, I love this club.
That's awesome. I mean, it ties so nicely into what this whole podcast is about in terms of taking chances and when people take chances on you. Why do you think that the Brumbies took a chance on you in that first season?
Um, yeah, I'm not sure. I think like I think when you sign like a young kid, like it's almost just taking a gamble. And you just never know like who you're gonna get. You go off like references, you go off players, managers, and the players, managers are always promoting the kid, but you go off like their family, yeah, just kind of listening to stories from people that from different contacts. And I think yeah, probably through Lordy probably would have watched a few games, maybe a handful of games. He came down to Sydney and had a coffee with my old man, and it was the quickest probably interview I've ever done. He just asked me why I play footy, what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, and then that was pretty much it. And I was like, oh, there's no chance I'm going to camera. But yeah, he took a massive chance on me, and like that again, I got to always look back to that moment. I'm just so grateful and thankful, to Lordy and the coaching team at the time, which was Bernie as well, and Dan McKellar. Um, and like that's just something that I continually to think about. Like when you start playing, and you start playing well, and you want to do well for the club and the people that first gave you the opportunity, and then the opportunity comes from another club elsewhere, overseas. But then I've always leant towards this club because they're the team that backed me for the start and first gave me my opportunity to live my dream as a kid. So um, yeah, truly grateful for that.
That's so good. Do you remember what you said was the like why you love rugby back then in the
Uh,
interview?
Oh yeah, I think it was more because I was like bigger than the other kids, so it was just like my mold just suited footy. I hadn't learned a lot about yeah, all in terms of like the work ethic. I knew a little bit of the work ethic, and where having a strong work ethic got you, in life, and I learned that throughout school. But like I learned so much more when I came here, and then the rewards that you get off the back of working hard. So yeah, he knew that I was a big kid. Like there was plenty of talent, but I had a lot of work to do to be consistent and yeah, make it a long career.
And if I ask you now, why do you love rugby? Has it changed?
Yeah, for sure. Like it's
Not just that you're bigger than everyone still.
no, I think I'm getting smaller. So um, but yeah, I think now like where I'm at, it's like I love rugby through the people that you meet. Like I've got some like I look at my career, I've met some of my best mates, throughout rugby who are now like all over the world. The connections that rugby give you, around the world is just like it's just so good. You know, being a leader, like what drives me is to bring the best out of others. You know, is to inspire people to be their best selves. You know, every day and trying to get the best out of them. And when I see them go out there and shine at training or shine on the weekend, it just brings me so much joy. You know, so it definitely has changed from just me wanting to be the best in my position to now expanding that and trying to grow as an individual, as a player, like just continuing to lead from the front, but also to inspire the boys around you to bring out their best. Like it just brings so much joy when I see that.
How cool. I can't wait to talk later on about some more leadership stuff. Wallabies debut. When was that? That was a couple of years after your
Tw-
Brumbies.
yeah, that was 2016
Yeah.
at ANZ against the All Blacks, and I think we'll get pumped that game. Unfortunately, but being in Sydney as well, I was born and raised. So I had my whole family out there. I think I needed about 40 or so tickets, um, which they all came out and enjoyed that milestone. And that was awesome. You know, like those, a lot of my family were people that helped me get to where I am at the moment and they were my, obviously the people who I lent on most before, becoming a professional athlete and like who helped me go to training, you know, pick me up from training or, you know, like raised me as a kid. So to be able to make that debut in front of them was really special.
And then you've gone on and played many, many, many more games since. Do you know how many caps you have?
Oh, I don't know the actual number. I
I think
think
it might
it's
be
about
about 85.
60 odd or oh yeah. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Amazing. Um, Hobbies or passions outside of rugby? Is it family driven? Do you have other things going on in the background?
Yeah, I think well, hobbies is like I like to play a bit of golf. I'm not good at it though. I just love going there for the yarn and yeah, it kind of really depends on who you go with as well for me because you can have some shit chat, you know, put each other off. You don't want to go with just blokes who are too serious. Um, but yeah, I love a game of golf, like, especially with the old man and you know, some of my close cousins as well. But the passion, yeah, it's definitely spending time at home with family. Like now I've got three kids. My eldest one, she's two, going on to three the end of this year. And then I got twin boys who are both turning one next month. So it's hectic at home. And you're constantly thinking the night before a day off, like, all right, well, like, what can I do on a day off to entertain the kids to use their energy so then they can have a nap at the right time? And yeah, just seeing them win their little like just little moments that they win every day is also gives me so much joy, you know. And I used to be so strict on my preparation around what I did on the day off, like to come in and do recovery, watch training. Um, but now it's like it's kind of having that balance in life, you know, and you're still able to do that, but just around your kids, you know. So yeah, it brings me also so much joy just seeing them how happy they are all together and as a nice big family at the moment, you know. So when your family come up from Sydney and you know, when they see like the smile they have when they see their grandparents, it's just little things that you probably I took for granted, you know, growing up, but just seeing that now as a father is really special.
Yeah, that's beautiful. The question is, did your dad or you win if you play golf?
I beat my old man now.
Yeah.
He'd hate it.
Confident.
But only just though. But only just like he plays nearly every weekend. And when I'm back playing rugby, like yeah, I've got to put the clubs away for a bit because I got to yeah take care of my back as much as I can. So throughout the whole rehab, I was yeah probably getting out most weekends. Every time I go to Sydney, I'll go out with the old man and play. So I made the most of that while I wasn't playing footy.
Yeah, it's important, isn't it? It's important to have the balance and take those opportunities when you can actually get them.
Yeah.
So how did you get into footy? Was that through school or was it before school?
That was before school. So my old man, he played for Manu Samoa in the 1991 World Cup, and yeah, I think like just I played for West Harbour Juniors when I was 4, and my brother started playing when he was about 5 or 6, and that was just touch that age until 8s and until under 8s, and yeah, I think it just became it was just in our blood. Like my old man played and his brothers played, so all of my uncles played, and they all had kids, so we all grew up together in Sydney. And every time we'd meet up, we'd be playing like touch at the park, which would turn into tackle. So that was that. I kind of just grew up, loving footy, and when I'd play West Juniors, I would then stay there all day and then go over because my dad used to coach grade, which is across the road. We used to go over there, and then I used to be ball boy, for fourth grade, third grade, second grade, first grade. Maybe because you got a free hot dog if you were ball boy. So I was loving a bit of that, but I did that for my whole childhood. And then if we were lucky enough, my dad was bothered, then we would jump on the bus and go straight to the Tars game. So I used to look forward to those days. Like a Saturday was just full of footy. And like I just grew up loving the game. I love being around your teammates, the people that you grew up in the area with. So yeah, it's kind of something that I was just born into, probably through my old man. Like he never forced it on us. He just put us in that space, and if we enjoyed it, then we just stayed. Um, but yeah, we just grew to love the game.
And did you like at 6, 7, 8, were at that age were you like, I want to play footy, like I want to be a potentially Samoan or Australian rugby player? Was it at that age?
Probably wasn't until I was in like I'd say Newington,
Yeah.
which was like year 10.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't, yeah, I was just cruising. Like I just loved like being around the lads. I just loved playing the weekend. I loved the vibe of going to the footy. But like I was a massive kid, so I was like you'd probably have a couple of involvements and then get too tired. So yeah, I kind of just winged it, and I just loved being there for just because I love playing rugby. But in terms of thinking about it for a career, yeah, that didn't become serious until um, I went to Newington. And I met like my first 15 coach, Brad Gill. I was there in year 9 playing 16 A's. And he put me on this program where I was in before school training, and then it was in at lunchtime training, like just doing extras. And then the following year after that, I realized I was enjoying my footy more because I was fitter. I was getting involved a lot more, and that's when I found out the result of having a strong work ethic. And then when I was in year 12, I didn't have to do those sessions, but it's something that I just kept on board and stayed consistent with. And yeah, it wasn't until then that I realized like I really want to become a professional rugby player, and how I was going to do it was through that work ethic. So um, yeah, I think that's also like it's what helped me get to where I am at the moment. Just that enjoyment and not taking it too serious at the start. Just doing it because I love the game. And then I started being serious when I was a little bit older, 16 or 17. And like I see kids now, like some are playing union, some are playing league Saturday, Sunday. And I've seen kids who just been gassed out by the time they get to high school. So I look back at my life and think like that was probably the perfect way for me to get to where I am now, which is having that enjoyment of playing footy, just playing with your mates, and then deciding for myself if it was actually the path I wanted to go on later in life.
I think that's so valuable too. You don't want to push anyone into anything too soon, and to be able to make your own decisions when you're in a, position to be able to control your own size, weight, shape, that's when it
Yeah,
starts to become something that you can make a decision on. So credit to
yeah,
the people around you that didn't push it too hard too early. Um,
yeah.
You talk about getting on a bus and going out and watching, I assume, the Waratahs at that stage. Who were the players, like were there players at that stage that you know, loved going to watch?
Yeah, so I loved like Lottie Takiri. He was massive because he was actually at West Harbour as well. So he and what was special was that we'd see him there at training, and then we'd see him like intercepts, like he's just scoring crazy tries off a cross kick, and I'm like, I actually know this guy, even though I've never met him. But like he signed up all and that, I was give him a high five at training, but like that was special for me as a kid, and like and now when you're in this position, like I know how important it is to show your face at those training sessions and be there and want to be there, for the kids that are coming through. So it's guys like that who I saw probably at training, at a club training who then went on and played. But it was guys like even like Al Baxter. Um, Back then there was Ben Robinson, even Sekope Kepu as well. Um, Phil Wall was just a massive, like he was huge in terms of warrior on the field. So yeah, I love watching those blokes just get stuck in. But like it was just like, and then you play a shoot shield grand final and they're all there, like they're all right in front of you, and I'm like, this is crazy, So I think like we may be missing that vibe now with the relationship between Super Rugby and club footy, and probably not getting enough of those players coming through there. But yeah, I used to love that.
Yeah, you talk about the perspective of, you realize that that's now kind of your responsibility almost as a player at the next level. How many kids are going to be turning up to Brumbies games or to club games and seeing people like you and wanting to be like you. Talking to Ned on my previous podcast, Ned Hannigan, he said he felt it was like a responsibility. It's part of your job to really help grow the game. And I never really thought of it as like a responsibility. I've always thought of it as like, I don't know, more like something that you do because it's the right thing to do. I see it as more like your corporate social responsibility, like that's the way you help grow a game. But I like that he says it's like a responsibility, like it's the right choice to make, to spend that extra time on the sideline, because you say you knew Lottie Takiri and it was just because he gave you like a head pat and signed a ball. And I think that those moments that we take for granted, or when you've finished a game and you're tired, you don't really want to go walk around and talk to everyone, but those moments are what keeps the game alive in the youth, which I think is super super important in terms of how we grow the game in Australia. So
Yeah, 100%.
yeah,
100%.
love hearing
I
it.
think it's so important, like how you look at it. Um, like if it's something that you love to do and you want to do, then you actually turn up there with a different persona.
Yeah.
Like you're there, you're animated, you want to make the kids day, compared to thinking, oh, I just have to be there. And then you're not really making an effort. You're there, but you're not. Are you actually present there? Like, do you actually want to make a kid's day? So, 100%. I think it is our job to grow the game, and that's something that we pride ourselves on here. Bernie's really brought that in heavily here at the Brumbies. He is massive on growing the game in the community here in Canberra, and even around Australia. Like he's doing different corporate meets or leading schools in away games so we can get our faces into the schools and into the community, so we can continue to grow the game. So
Yeah,
it's
super
massive for us.
important. Awesome. um We've talked a couple of times indirectly about so far when you've taken a chance, and it's paid off. I can think of examples of, moving to Canberra as a prime one, changing schools, I assume had something to do with rugby opportunities, as much as education, moving to Newington 10, 11, 12. Um, have you got a specific example, I suppose, of when you've taken a chance and you've been like, damn, yeah, that's paid off?
Yeah, you just named two of them. Like I was so comfortable at Ashfield Boys. Like those are the boys that I grew up with around the area. Um, I was with probably one of my closest cousins. Um, I never liked the idea of going to Newington, like in terms of like a private school and how strict it was. Um, but my brother went first. He put in a pretty much led the way through his actions. And when the opportunity came up for me to go, um, yeah, I didn't really. I said that I didn't really want to go because I was just so comfortable at Ashfield. Um, and then I look back on my life now. I'm just so grateful that I took that chance. I'm so grateful that the opportunity was there. For me to go. Um, but then taking that chance there to go, like I look back and when I spoke earlier about learning about the work ethic and understanding, where that can put you in life, and what you can achieve through having a strong work ethic. Like that's all the things that I learned at Newington. I think because it was there, because it had to be there. Like the coach, he's the one that put the sessions in there for me. Like he forced me to go, and then I had to make all my classes. I had to hit good grades. And then again, like there was something that I had to do. I had to do tutoring outside of school to then be able to get somewhat good grades, And again, like tutoring is putting in time, for my education, and there's just little things like that that I was kind of forced to do, which I realize now, like when the opportunity came for me to make a decision whether I still wanted to do tutoring or um, did I still want to go in the gym early before school and in the middle of school, like I still chose to do that. Just through learning where that got me, throughout that time. And that's definitely something that I've taken throughout my careers. Like that work ethic is something that I learned massively, coming through that school. It's something that I'm grateful for. And yeah, obviously taking a chance to come to Canberra, moving away from home was massive. Like I have all my family in Sydney. I've got no one here in Canberra. So when I first moved, like the first few months was hard, like being away from like your mum's cooking, your mum pretty much doing everything for you. Your kids, you're washing, cleaning up everything, seeing your parents every day, being with your cousins on the weekend. Um, yeah, so that was definitely something that I missed, but I look back on now and it's the best decision I've made. So um, yeah, truly grateful for that.
Yeah. Wow. When if I move on to leadership, I have heard, yeah, a lot of people talk about how you connect with the team and how you like, excuse me, you're really passionate about like bringing in that holistic group. And I mean, you referenced it at the beginning of this chat where you said, now you love rugby not just for your own success, but because of the teams, like when you can see your teammates winning as well. Um, how do you lead is I suppose my first question for you.
Yeah, I'm probably the most passionate thing I'm about leading for me is that connection. Like for me, it's so important to connect with all my teammates, but to connect with their heart first. To understand who they are, who their family is, where they're from, and then from a performance level, it's why they're doing what they're doing. It's 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 what motivates them. Like why do they walk in the door every day and want to get the most out of themselves every day? And if they're not doing that, then why aren't they doing that? So and that for me is always I'm massive on just connecting with the individual first, before I connect with them on a professional level, like from a work perspective. And like that takes time outside of footy. Um, it's sitting down and just having a coffee. Like it's just talking. Oh, how was your day off? What's planned tonight? Like what are you doing for the bye week? How's your family over in New Zealand? So it's just little conversations which I love having, because I love just getting to know everyone just a little bit more every day. And like it is tough now, because like it's so busy at home, and my family do need me at home. So sometimes you got to plan that and structure how your day looks, because it's so important for me as a leader to have that strong connection at work. So um, like I think also how I love to lead and have a passion in leading is just to lead by my action. Um, is to do what you say you'll do, and I think that also holds weight into what you say afterwards, especially if you're doing it through your action first. If you're so connected with that individual, no matter what you say to him, he will take it on board, and no matter how you say it, um, like they will take it on board. But then if you're also so connected, you will know how to speak to that individual as well. So it's how do they respond if you yell at them or swear at them? Like maybe some boys will respond differently to other boys who are probably more in their shell and need more of a pump up. And that stuff only comes from giving time, and really getting to know the individual and how they are off the field, but then how they are under pressure as well. So it's connection is massive for me. It's probably the base of my whole leadership is to yeah connect with the individual's heart first, and to know them on a personal level, just and making sure that's genuine. Not because you want to do it because it's the team. It's because you want to do it because you want to do it, and you genuinely want to know um, what's going on in their life. So yeah, that's massive for me.
It sounds so simple, but it's a big commitment. It's not as easy as just being, oh, it's just connection. Like you actually have to invest and you have to care when you ask the questions. It's not just about, simply saying, how was your weekend? It's listening as much as asking, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And like that's the big thing for me as well. It's just being present in something as small as a conversation. It's generally listening to what they say, and then replying off the back of that is so that's something that I probably wasn't good at throughout my career, and something that I've brought to my awareness now of being present. And there's and little things that help me, like it's just mindfulness. It's something that like I gotta practice every day, because it's just not the norm for me to, like, my mind just keeps running over a thousand things. You can miss a whole conversation. You're like, oh, I just missed what he said. So um yeah, that's definitely probably how I like to lead. And I'm not, I wouldn't say I'm perfect at it, but it's definitely where I want to be. And then something that I review at the end of every week, and try and remember every conversation, how I led the team in the huddle, or how did this bloke take this when I said this. Yeah. So I had throughout my rehab, like leading with empathy, and like that was like it's if someone's late to training, like an example, I used to just be like, mate, like this bloke doesn't care, like this guy's just rocking up late. But I've never thought about it. Like, do you actually know what's going on in his life? There actually could be a reason to why he's late, why someone's training poorly, why someone's playing poorly. So for me, it's I've always been quick to judge. Like I'm like, this guy doesn't care about the team. Like he's not working hard enough. He's not pushing himself. In the past, I hadn't thought about it from their perspective, like being in their shoes and thinking maybe you need to have a coffee with him, and then it's about trying to find the right environment depending on what you're seeing to have that conversation. Again, that all comes with experience and like trial and error. But again, it comes down to, because you want to connect with that person on a personal level. And you genuinely care, and that's what you want. I want to care for the boys around me and make it a family connection.
I have two questions for you on that. Firstly, leading with empathy. Do you read about this? Is this something that someone else has mentioned and you're like, oh, that's a good way of taking it? Or like where do you learn your thought process from?
Yeah, so I actually listened to a podcast, um, and that was purely around leading with empathy, and that was that was recommended by my mental performance coach, because I would just tell him the scenario and the situation that happened, and then he would suggest things to listen to, or suggest different ways of approaching the situation. And this is where it all came from. So it was, yeah, I think for me, like when he gave me that idea, and like I just no, I was just so shocked that I never thought about it. You know, I was almost like okay, am I selfish? You know, because I think performance first, and I think he doesn't care about the team. You know, so I'm like, well, stuff it. You know, like it's just the next bloke will step up. Instead of thinking, man, I need to go and take this guy for a coffee, or maybe I need to go out for a beer with him, and maybe I can get him on the field and have a conversation just to check in. Say, hey man, are you okay? You know, hey bro, what's going on? I'm seeing this. I just want to check in and make sure you're all right. And mostly at the start, it's yeah, I'm good, yeah. But then you have a follow up like the next day, and then it's yeah, I'm actually not. You know, so and then that's when like you can deep dive into those conversations and and yeah, get to know that like that person and their yeah their whole like you know situation. So yeah, definitely it didn't cross my mind. It was something that was brought forward to me, and now I'm real conscious with what I say and how I say it. Like I need to sit down for a little bit. If I was to see someone walk in late, I'd have a couple of minutes of thinking. Like you have that first thought, and then you have your second thought. All right, what's important? Um, and then you can attack it that way.
Yeah, I love it. All right. And then my second question off the back of your leading with empathy is, how do you then balance empathy with the realities of the high performance environment? So yes, it's great to then know that, you know, something's going on at home and, you know, there's a reason why they're late or they're not performing. But then you've got to balance that with, but the team, you know, turns up on time, and like we've got to respect this environment as well. Like, how do you balance those two parts to it?
Yeah, I think it's massive because like we also don't want to accept it. Like we don't want at the end of the day we don't want to say coming late is all right if you feel like shit, you know. So it's connecting with the individual, but then making sure that by the end of the conversation they understand like no matter what you go through life, you still need to you still need to come in and show up on time. Like you got to have that discipline. It's kind of like that mental toughness that you build. Um, and you can use past experiences. If the situation is really bad, then you can direct them to like we have Robin here who works with Rupa. Like you can direct them to people that can actually help with their situations outside. Um, but we don't really have massive massive cases. Like sometimes I was like, oh, I just slept because I slept in, and then my reaction is like, well, you know, like it's then I get back in the red. So then it's like, and then like sometimes it's the young lads who just need, yeah, kind of
Got the
just
bum.
help on yeah on like what it looks like to be a professional athlete. So then you're giving them jobs to do, um, like you need to be the timekeeper, or like for like data check in, like you need to be like it's your job to send in a message every morning to remind boys to do this or something like that. But yeah, having that, I think that's why it's so important to have that connection, because then you can talk to them on a personal level and your experiences, and you can suggest um like what you think, but then you're also able to bring them back into bringing their best self into the high performance. Like in terms of at the end of the day, like what you bring here is going to help you at home. It's going to provide, you know, for your family. If you're saying that if your motivation is your family and you want to do well for your family, then that's something that you could keep leaning on. If this kind of makes sense. But yeah, this whole leading with empathy, I listen to a lot of podcasts with Brene Brown, um, Simon Sinek, and yeah, I'll just probably throughout the whole rehab journey and understanding um, you know, what happens when you genuinely care for your players. But I think that's the toughest. It's always the toughest challenge, which is to um, yeah, kind of take into consideration their scenario that's happening outside of rugby, but then find ways to try and bring that around into bringing their best self. It's again, it's questions that I always ask myself. It's sometimes I have to sit with it overnight to then have an answer for them like the next day. I don't want to just come up with the answer straight away. But yeah, every scenario is different and unique. But again, it just comes down to I love doing it because I love connecting with the individual. Like I want to connect with them on a personal note, and then that's what drives me every day to make sure that everyone is okay.
Yeah, it's cool. And I love that you do all of the listening and the reading outside of just being in the environment and learning from, your own experience. It's also pulling on others' experience for tried and tested methods. It makes such a difference.
Yeah,
Um,
because yeah, I wouldn't know what to say. So yeah, I try and if I don't know, then I try and find information, and that's just through podcasts or books. Or I'm more of an audio book. I start reading 10 lines and I fall asleep. So
yeah.
um, yeah,
So Allan Alaalatoa is in the middle of a team huddle. You're about to go out for a game. Are you a, pre-prepared, thought through, pump up speech man, or are you like just off the cuff? It's all about, like the work's all done. Like what's the pre-game speech like?
yeah, I'm massive on being prepared. So the day before the game is big for me because I kind of map out what the whole day will look like in terms of language used throughout the game. The hardest thing about being a leader is like knowing what the team needs, but then focusing on how you're going to perform at your best yourself. And I find the best way for me is being prepared for what I'm going to say, so then I can bring my focus straight back to how I'm going to play. And I find if I'm not prepared and I'm worrying about what I'm going to say, then it takes all my energy away from being present. What am I going to get out of this warm up, this particular drill, this particular scrum? Because I'm focused on what I'm going to say. So, um, like I'm also big in terms of emotion. Like it just depends on how, like what the coaches say. So if they prepare the boys to make them run through a brick wall, then I'm not going to tap in on that emotion side. I'm going to go more around attention to detail, like what's our first job, and you could delegate and use other blokes that are really good at giving that detail. So like your nines and tens, um, and you can just genuinely feel the vibe from the warm up. Oh, the boys are good. Like they don't need anything here. But then there's games where we're a bit flat. You can feel it where you need to go into the red a bit more. So then you give rev up, and that's when because you have that connection, like you can tap into the heart. Like you're saying, oh, we're saying that like we want it to be this type of team, so we need to go out there and deliver it from the start. You're you speak nothing about footy. It's just all about things that you've spoken about throughout the whole journey to get you to to that game. So it's I think for me it's definitely being planned. Um, because then I'm not really off the cuff. If I go off the cuff, then I'm more so in the red, worrying a lot, and you're just not sure if the boys really need that. But it's I tend to plan both on a calm and direct message, but also um, an emotional one if we need it as well.
Yeah, cool. I'm excited about going out on the field, and I'm not even going out on the field right now. Um, in terms of like your rugby journey and the professional image of rugby, it is very glamorized at the moment. Like everyone wants to be a full-time rugby athlete. But how do you manage like the hard slog and the tough times, for example, injuries, like mentally, like how do you shift that to be able to get through it on those tough days?
Um, I think what I've learned is falling in love with the process. Um, like I love the fact, I love the grind. Like it's being out there on the Saturday is probably the funnest part, you know, and you're knowing that you've run out there with full of confidence because of what you've done. And that's the process I've had that mentality probably the last, few years. Like when, when you're young, like I didn't really need it. Like I just got up because I love the boys. I didn't want to let them down. But then that only lasted a few years. Then you're trying to find something else. And I realized like I didn't pour attention into my preparation. Like I would go into a game now where I know that I've prepared the best I can. And then sometimes like you don't really have a good game. And I can hang my hat on that, knowing that I've put myself in the best case possible to have a great game. But it just didn't happen for me because I didn't adapt to what was happening in front of me. Um, so that's massive, for me. And then like in terms of like the beginning of my rehab last in July, it was the hardest part for me. It was the first 4 or so weeks when I was just laying in bed and I couldn't move. Um, and I needed to have a plan around what the next 10 months look like. So I made that clear with the physios. I came in here to the Brums and said, what does it look like for me? So then I say, this is the goal to come back, which means that I need to be training by this mark, which means I need to be running by this mark, which means I need to be on the Ultra G by this mark, which means I need to get my calf strength up to this mark and then bring it all back to that next day when I was sitting there. And that for me was a purpose. Like I said, all right, that's where I want to be, but this is what I need to do tomorrow to get there. And then the next day will be like, this is what I need to do the next day. And it's going in, and you can just go in and do. I just needed to go in and do like 60 calf raises, and then that was it. But I'm there, I'm doing it, because I'm like, this is what I need to do. I can't miss a day. The other thing that helps me is the balance. Like I look back on my injury, and from my family perspective, it was a blessing in disguise. Like it's my boys, my twin boys, different much of May, June, were 3 months old, and like you were gearing up to go to a World Cup, being away from home for about four months, So I was at home every day, and it was hard when I was I was bedridden and I couldn't do anything. But I poured a lot of attention and my energy into being there for my family, prioritizing them because I look back on my career the last few years and they like you're there, you're pouring everything into training, but then you give nothing at home. And that's kind of opened my eyes, to how important it is to have that balance. And I feel like the whole rehab journey just went so fast because all my attention was on something that I loved outside of footy, which was my family, and finding that passion. Like I said, like they went from just not being able to move to then moving a little bit, and then you're like cheering them on. And now they're crawling everywhere. And now they're slowly starting to walk, which is all the things that I missed out with my daughter, because I was touring a lot. So and that just didn't come. Like again, like I had to accept it. I think it took me about 6 weeks, to accept my reality. And then once I did that and had a plan and what that looked like moving forward, um, and loving that process on what it took, to get there. That's what definitely helped me in my journey, So yeah, definitely, like
Yeah.
that was massive for me. Was just falling in love with the grind and then trusting the whole process and enjoying the process because that's the hardest part about playing footy. I believe
Yeah.
is the grind to get you where you are.
Yeah.
And
You've
the
got to
whole
love the
process
grind.
it takes.
Absolutely. So have you got any degrees or what are you going to do after rugby? Have you got a plan post rugby?
Yeah, I finished my degree in criminology. So it was so it was a bachelor of social science major in criminology, and I was also massive in policing, but then like helping. like AFP as well, like after school. But then also helping the community. So that's why it was a Bachelor of Social Science. So it's really broad, but you can also get into the social work field as well. So that like I'm like what do I want to do with that post footy? It's still I don't know. Like it's my opportunity now to kind of narrow that down, which I am doing at the moment. Um, but then it's like I also want to coach as well. So it's um, yeah, what does that look like for me post footy? I went and had just a meet and greet with the AFP here like a couple of months ago, and trying to get my vibe around what that looks like. So yeah, doing a little bit of work experience outside of footy and at the moment, but yeah, I also want to coach as well. So maybe that is something that I transition into post footy. Um, but yeah, there is a broad plan there at the moment.
Yeah,
But yeah,
obviously you don't want
haven't
to
really locked that down.
you don't want to get too close focused on it, because the most important thing to do right now is to focus on playing. But it's nice to know there's thought process going on in the background to future proof yourself and make a plan.
Yeah,
Definitely not
100%.
suggesting you
That's
should be done yet by any means.
nah, but that was massive for me. When I first came through, my parents pushed me hard into making sure that I finished my studies. Because I know that footy doesn't last forever. Um, and you're lucky for it to last longer than five or so years. So it's to make the opportunity count and what rugby offers, through the Rupa program and how much it can help you through life after footy. So yeah, that was massive for me as a young lad coming through, was to finish my degree.
Yeah, it's important. I'm so glad your parents think the same. I very, very much value the power of education and knowing that you can slide into other parts of life, when you need to through post rugby. Allan, thank you so much for your time today. I so have enjoyed this chat. Good luck getting back out on the field.
Thank you.
And hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you. It was awesome to be on. I wish you all the best in your rehab journey as well, Emily, and hope to see you back out there soon.
Thanks so much,
Enjoy the
Allan.
grind.
Thanks.